Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Peter Hata. Welcome to Higashi Honganji Buddhist Temple's Sunday service for May 23rd, and really great to see all of you. Let me offer incense first here. Namo Buddhas, Namo Buddhas, Namo Buddhas. Remove the don't want to start a fire here. Let's see. Well, welcome to. Good morning to Rob. Good morning to Elaine. Good morning to Cindy. Good morning to Bruce. Good morning to Rimban. Good morning to Leslie. Good morning to Diane. And good morning to the other 10 or so of you that are here and haven't put in a comment. But anyway, good morning once again, and welcome to our Sunday service. Really nice to have you with us today. I think about actually almost exactly 1 year ago on May 24th, 2020, it turns out I was also streaming the Sunday service from home, which, means that not much has changed in that year. But I did happen to look at my opening comments from that service almost 1 year ago today. And I noticed that at that point in the pandemic, it was about 2 months after the lockdown had happened in mid-March. And I noticed that my comments last year were that there was apparently growing concerns, both locally and nationally, that some people seem to be resuming, their pre-pandemic activities too soon. You might remember then that I think after Memorial Day of 2020, there was in fact another surge of coronavirus cases. Sometime after the Memorial Day of 2020. But fortunately, today, I think as Memorial Day 2021, approaches, thanks to the vaccines, right, things have improved considerably to the point where restrictions are being eased, and the temple is indeed getting close to reopening. In fact, it's already been confirmed, I think, but the temple will reopen on June 13th, which is the second Sunday in June. I'll have more details in the announcements later. So that's really good news. After our ritual portion today, our Dharma message, as you may have seen on the Facebook page there, that our Dharma message will be delivered by Reverend Fred Brenion. He's going to be discussing the relevance of what are known in Buddhism as the Five Remembrances, which is a very interesting topic. And these are basically the essential Buddhist teachings, such as impermanence and karma. And maybe we could say, I think, also mindfulness of these teachings. But first, let's begin the ritual portion. And the ritual materials for today's service, as usual, are on the Facebook page. You click on the window that says HHBT Stream Sunday Service. And the opening gatha this morning will be How Sweetly the Lotus Grows, which is on page 118 in your red service book, if you have it. But if not, I'll project the lead sheet on the screen here. So please join me for gatha How Sweetly the Lotus Grows, followed by the Tisarana. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Difficult is it to receive life in human form, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma, now we hear it. If we do not receive awakening in the present life, then in what life can we hope to receive it? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together as one, begin on the great path of enlightenment, holding in our hearts the supreme aspiration. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together as one, enter the storehouse of the Dharma and attain true wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together as one, uniting in harmony, strive to live for the enlightenment of all beings. The incomparable, deep, and profound Dharma is difficult to encounter even through countless ages of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us endeavor to thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Buddha Dharma. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. And now please join us for chanting the Shoshinge. Kimyo muryo junyo rai Namu fukashi giko hozo bosai niji zaise jizai obusho Tokensho bujodo in kokudo ninden shizen maku konru mujo shusho gan shohoke udai guze goko shi shisho ju jusei myosho monjippo Puho muryo muhen ko muge mutai koen no shoujo kangi jie ko fudan nanshi mushoko chonichi gakko shojin se issai gunjo mukosho Hongan myogo shoujogo shishin shingyo ganin joto gakusho daine han hishi mendo ganjoju nyorai shoi koshu se yuise mida hongan kai gojoku akuji gunjo kai oshin nyorai nyo jingon noho ichinen kiai shin fudan bon no tokune han bonsho gyaku hosai e nyu nyo shushi nyu kai chimi sesshu shinko joshogo ino suiha mumyo an Tonnai shinzo shiun mujo fu shinji shinjin ten hinyo nikko fu unmu shige myomu an gyaku shinken kyo daikyo ki soku o chose go akushu 一切善悪本部人、門心如来偶税願、仏言古代小下者、聖人名、踏んだりけ、弥陀部本願念部、邪見教満悪衆上、信行十字人に難中止難昔、インド祭天子論下、中華自治域史こそ、現代証拠聖書異名如来本勢要記、釈迦如来両河線、一種五名南天寺空流十大寺出とせ、出の財派有無権、先世大乗無情報、召喚議事小安楽、賢治難行六六、信行異行指導楽、億年弥陀部本願、次年即時入品上、唯の上昇如来語、王法大悲偶税音、天神菩薩増論世、奇妙無下光如来、永寿たら献身寺、光線王朝大聖願、こういう本願力栄光、異道群上昇維新、気入苦毒大崩壊、逆入大栄収集、特使蓮華造世界、即昇信用保証心、有本の林源人図、入所寺音寺用下、本寺鈍乱路天使、上皇乱消防さらい、三蔵粒子十条教、凡所宣行気楽法、天神菩薩論中下、報道因果見世願、方言栄光有他力、少女死因唯心人、惑前本部新人法、承知生じ即涅槃、必死無量光明道、小宇宙上回復家、同釈結晶道難所、唯妙浄土活入、万全自力変言宗、円満特合感染症、三部三神慶音言、相馬法明道品、一生増悪地偶税、思安如海称名観。全道独名仏性意、公愛上三陽逆悪、光明明後見人年、開入本願大智慧、行者小樹金剛心、狂気一年総合、用意大と逆三人、即小保証四条楽、原神公開一大教、変気安女観一切、先祖修心反戦人、法華二度小弁る、極重悪人唯勝負、我薬剤費摂取中、煩悩証言追復権、大悲無権上昇が、本次元空妙仏教、連民全幕本部人、新宗教書後編集、戦弱本願偶惑性、 現来所自臨伝下結地義上異所し即入着上無意楽筆地新人異の入愚教大事修士と上際無変極俗悪同族自主愚道心唯化心死こそせナムアミダブナムアミダアブナムアミダアブナムアミダブナムアミダアブナムアミダブナムアミミダ上部のこの方は今に実行を経たまえり方針の降臨極もなく聖の無明を照らすなり知恵の光明計りなし無量の所相ことごとく公共かむらぬものはなし信じ妙に奇妙せよ下段の降臨極もなし高速かむるものは皆有無を離ると述べたも平等格に奇妙せよ幸運無下女国一切の不下に触りなし光沢かむらぬものぞなき難思議を奇妙せよ少女光明並びなし愚思考のゆえなれば一切の語獣残りぬ筆教へを奇妙せよ仏教所有最大一公園の仏と名付けたり三途の国安開くなり大用具を奇妙せよ願に宿毒平等正祭同法菩提心往生安楽Well, I hope you could chant with me there, Shoshinge, and very shortly we'll be able to be chanting together, hopefully in the Hondo. But let's see. As I mentioned in my opening, the Dharma message for today's service is by our guest speaker, Reverend Fred Brenion. Actually, he was supposed to lead a discussion today, but he was asked to sub, kind of not at the last moment, but very recently he was asked to sub at West Covina Buddhist Temple today. So he can't, even with his superpowers, he can't be in two places at one time. So he elected to submit a recorded message today. But nonetheless, I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing his thoughts on the what are called the Five Remembrances in Buddhism. And so, without further ado, let me play Reverend Fred's message for you.
Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu. Thank you, friends, for being here on this Sunday morning at our Betsuin for our Sunday service to hear the Dharma. It's a lovely day where I'm at. I hope it'll be a lovely day for you as well. So let's get to the business of the Dharma. Um, some months ago, I came across this very interesting article that brought to light a Buddhist teaching that I think I've only heard the title, but I never saw the content of it. And it's such a lovely teaching and really fills in a blank spot in my understanding of it or how to express it and everything. It's called the Five Remembrances. The name of the sutra is the Upajijatana Sutta. I probably just mangled that. But if you look at Five Remembrances, you can probably find this. Um, when I first learned Buddhism as a young adolescent, I was greatly entranced by the story of the life of the Buddha and the very basic teachings that came with the story presentations and books I was looking at. Um, and it was interesting, it was fascinating to me actually to hear of Siddhartha's encounter of the four sights of seeing someone who is ill, then someone who's aged, finally someone who is dead, and then he also sees a monk uh, in equanimity on everything, and he leaves home to go find the meaning to these questions. Why are there these things? How does one deal with them and everything? And these were questions that I was very, very interested in myself. So I was really intrigued with what Siddhartha was going to teach me. And so he goes on his adventures. He learns things. He takes up with ascetics and tortures his body, almost dies. From this, he learns the middle path of maybe living a life of balance, which actually is a good lesson. And then finally, he sits under the Bodhi tree and he has his awakening experience. And there's this story about Mara with the dancing girls and the armies and everything. And he conquers all of this. And his spirit of balance carries him through. And that was that. Of course, it led into the Four Noble Truths of the Eightfold Noble Path, which I thought was really a wonderful, amazing teaching, very insightful. But I felt cheated. I felt here I've been led along, wanting to know about the answer to old age, sickness, and death. And well, what's the answer? What does one do about all this and everything? I mean, you get these teachings about nirvana, about um, what it actually means, but this sense of interconnectedness and everything else. But for a 12-year-old boy or whatever, I mean, this is right over my head and everything. I want to know what about the big bad and all these things in our lives? How does one approach this and everything? What's your philosophy of life on this and everything? And so I think the years ahead, of course, led me to deeper explorations of the Buddha and of his teachings, and certainly aspects to answering that are all in there. But in this particular teaching of the Five Remembrances, really gets right to the heart of the matter. These are the things I was interested in, and you may be interested in as well. Um, in many ways, they're almost like the preamble to Buddhist teachings, like the preamble of the Constitution. While it doesn't describe how the government goes, but it does say what our hope and aspiration, how we want to understand this government that we're creating and everything. And so I think this teaching lays the ground by which the Four Noble Truths Eightfold Noble Path make better existential sense for us, or why this is important for us to pursue. And so, without much ado, I will just now launch right into these five remembrances. And the first one is, I'm of the nature to grow old. There's no way to escape growing old. That seems to be kind of basic and everything. We all get older. Um, as you can see here, I've got wonderful white hair and everything. It started to come in my late 20s, and I've been all right with it. And while I miss my old long brown locks, I'm all right with this too. But a lot of people are not comfortable with growing old, so they'll cover it up with dyes. And no, that's all right. Whatever works for you, you should do or whatever. But I saw no sense of it because underneath all that dye, the white hair is still there at the center. One's just doing a cover up. So why not let it out and enjoy it and embrace it or whatever? But this teaching goes right to this, that to remind us that, yeah, we're going to get old. Um, but when we look at it, if you have babies or grandchildren, they're wonderful fun when they're infants and everything. We would awe at them, but really, we can't wait for them to get to where they learn a language and they can actually talk with us and everything. They're much more interesting than, and of course, we want to see how they're going to turn into teenagers and young adults and what they're going to do with their lives and everything. Um, Children are our reality TV of our lives and everything. So, but if we froze ourselves at a particular age, would we ever leave infancy? Would we learn all these things? Would we grow up, experience love, uh, all the sorrows of life, all these things, all its pleasures and pains and the beauties of this world? But the Buddha says we are of this nature. There's no way to escape it. So what do you do if you can't escape it? Well, learn to deal with it, accept it, and maybe make it part of your life and embrace it and learn what mysteries it has to teach you. The second one, I'm of the nature to have ill health. There's no way to escape having ill health. A lot of us can do end runs around that. I know if we live healthy, as Siddhartha learned with learning to balance life and everything, maybe it's a balance between extremes. But if we lead a healthy life, live our lives in a healthy way, we won't experience so many illnesses. Um, it's when we don't live our lives right that we experience many of these things, as we've experienced this past year with COVID. Uh, but we've learned a lot of things. The value of wearing a mask and washing our hands are important. You may not realize it, but while we were dealing with COVID, we went through the flu season. Did you hear anything about that? I think there were about like 2,000 cases of the flu in this country. 2,000. When in previous years it's tens and hundreds of thousands, getting the flu, uh, and many people died from that. No one died of flu during this past flu season while we were dealing with COVID. So I think you can see the point of it. We can't deal with aspects of, of illness, but there is a point where time catches up, like with growing old, the body does not repair itself as well. I'm wearing glasses now. I'm told that cataracts are setting in, so in a few years I may have eye surgery or whatever. Price of living to the ripe age that I'm at. Many of our ancestors never lived as long as we do, and everything. I have bruises that where the heck did they come from, and everything. Kind of in the morning, where's this bruise? Where did it came from? Um, and all that. So the Buddha teaches us that it is inescapable that we are going to some degree or other, start to fall apart and suffer the aches of it. I find it a little harder climbing up stairs. When as a kid, I just leapt up them and everything. So this again is part of the reality that Buddha says this is our reality. What he was curious about and trying to find a way around, he says this is part of it. It's inescapable. Again, what do you do about it? Ignore it or work with it, embrace it? And finally, the third remembrance, third out of five, I'm of the nature to die. There's no way to escape death. The big baddie, as we call this one, and everything. Um, Buddha is very realistic. He says, this is how it is. Again, ignore it. So many people do in this country. We spend our lives being ignorant. That is ignoring what's coming or what's away. How do we approach this matter of our end? What does it mean? What happens? All these questions that we have that Siddhartha had. And he says, no, there is no end run around this and everything. Sooner or later, it comes to an end. He does not propose some grand mythology of a Garden of Eden with a talking snake and an apple and judgment being imposed with death as his punishment. He says this is part of our reality. This is reality. And best thing to do is accept reality. To not accept it, well, is to invite trouble for yourself and for others. And so he tells us you need to face this. You need to come to understanding. It may be a painful thing to understand or approach, but a bit of realism in our lives will also help us to prepare better and to live our lives accordingly. Knowing that my life has limits means that every moment of time is precious. I'm at an age now where I don't like people wasting my time. Uh, I've only got so much time to see things in this world or to read new things or meet interesting new people or explore the Dharma and everything. Time is precious. So I think this is an important thing that the Buddha is bringing for us to look at. And now these first three, very personal to the Buddha, because this is what he experienced as a young person, what he was concerned about. And he realized this is how it is. Now, you might say, well, duh, but as I said, most of us ignore it. As I said, ignorance is to ignore, not just you don't know something, but to deliberately not know. Hold it off at arm's length. That's part of the cause of our sufferings and distress. But in the time that Buddha lived, people had this view that reality was a play, a drama, a magician's act, uh, and everybody had their role in it. Each of us are an actor on the stage, but that actually the person who's doing the acting is Brahman, the one, the absolute, God, as understood in the culture of that time, uh, is playing all the roles. And you need to play the role because that's what you're supposed to do. So if you're supposed to suffer, you're supposed to suffer. If you're supposed to die horribly, you're supposed to die horribly. Um, that was the view, and you were not supposed really to do anything about it. Uh, if you were born a slave, be the best slave you could be, but don't think about changing your part and everything. This is a really interesting population control going on here and this viewpoint and everything. But the Buddha said, this is not a play. This is reality. This is real. Your suffering, your discomfort, your diseasement, your dukkha is real, it's important, and you need to face it. That's why we're given these remembrances. These are the points that got Buddha on his path. And so Buddha say, I want to remember this because this is what has led me to the enlightenment. This is what brought me to the understanding. So we must start with the very, very basic beginnings. And so this is why these teachings are so crucial, and just fill in the blank of the story of the Buddha's life that we tell. We need to add this page right back into it. Fourth, remembrance. Because the first three is about us, our concerns, our self concerns, but now we turn our attention to others. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. In many ways, this is harder than the first three steps because we learned how to love, we've learned to have friends, to be open to others. But to be open is also to be open to separation, which does happen, must happen through ending of friendship or ending of life, whatever it may be. And it hurts. It hurts you when you lose someone. It hurts them when they're going through the same things you're going through. That's why they need to hear these teachings as well. But that everyone is part of reality. I don't know of anyone who is outside of reality. Um, I'll give a few things here and there from other religions, but no, everything is part of reality. And experiencing that everything must change. And this is something that we need to take deeply to heart, not as a metaphysical thing, but as something that is real and existentially deep within us, that's part of the warp and woof of the structure of reality, of structure of us. So this is a very important remembrance to hold together. The fifth remembrance is different. It's actually positive in many respects, maybe a counterbalance to all the well, we've heard that's like these negative things. And it's really interesting to listen to. My actions are my only true belongings. I'm going to repeat that again. My actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground upon which I stand. That is interesting. Ah, my actions are my only true belongings. I've got all these books and stuff around me. Somebody else is going to get them in a few years, either inheritance or donated to a library or maybe a book sale out of the yard my kids will hold and everything and all that. They're all going to go to the four winds. Um, I may have my own thoughts, but reality moves forward and other people have their thoughts. Um, so what I really have, this is all prop. This is all props here. All that I really have that's of any use to you or of me is my actions. Um, some years ago, there was this whole thing about verbing, treating instead of talking ourselves as nouns, to treat ourselves as verbs, as action. Not a noun is a thing, a construct, and we get wrapped up in it. Our self is a construct, and it's a noun. But we try to think of ourselves as a verb, as an action. I'm not a thinker. I'm a collection of thoughts that galvanize and attract other thoughts that are dynamically moving forward and everything. Um, so this is all I have. That is all I am. If we look at the Buddha's teachings, and this is all I have to truly give. The actions of my life, as crazy as they have been, have brought me here, have brought me to Buddhism, have brought me to sit at the feet of Shinran Shonin and to sit with all of you to embrace this understanding of the Dharma and whatever causes and conditions have brought me to a point where I'm wearing robes. I'm here sharing the Dharma with you and listening to you as you share the Dharma with me. These are all actions, not things, they're actions. And so Buddha is very imperative about this. This is the Buddha's teaching on karma. We are karma. Karma isn't something that happens to us. We are it. But through the teachings, our flow of karma can be directed, transformed, enriched. You also take bad turns and everything. But I think this is a very dynamic, as it makes Buddhism into a dynamic religion, dynamic philosophy and way of life. This is what gives life to all these teachings. Buddhism is an active religion. It's not passive. It, contrary to appearances and everything, it's built to make us active in the world with ourselves and with each other. I cannot escape the consequences of my action. We often think our actions, well, that's done. we'll move on now to something else or whatever. No, there are consequences to our actions, and this is a major part of Buddhist ethics, what we call intentions. We often think we have good intentions. Goodness knows I think I have good intentions, and they've backfired on me powerfully, almost tragically. Um, but there are consequences, and I must own the consequences of my actions, of my flow of the karma. And we all must own our own karma, and we also collectively own everybody's karma altogether. That's a very heady topic. Um, but there are consequences. We can learn from our consequences, our mistakes, but it's something we need to really examine carefully about, particularly the aspect of intentions. There's that saying in the West of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think the Buddha would love that saying and everything. Yeah, my intentions have made very bad, hellish situations for me and others and everything. But thankfully, I've learned from that. Uh, Other sermons and everything. But this is something that to bear in mind that we cannot escape the consequences. So if we hurt somebody, we can't wind back the clock. That consequence is real. Now we have to deal with that. And so it flows on. This is why it's dynamic. And we mustn't run and hide from this, but to understand what we have done, what we can do to be better, if we can repair things or bring healing. But this is part of the dynamics of the Dharma. My actions are the ground upon which I stand. This is so interesting. Um, we use the word understand. Does it mean when I say I understand? Understand. It means that which is under me that I am standing on. If I understand something, that means I know it, embrace it, realize it, whatever it is something I can now stand on and go forward with. That is what the root words, at least the English of understanding. It's what you can build on, what you're um, based on. And so your actions that are you are what you stand upon. This makes us want to ask, well, how secure are my actions? If they're poorly done, well, we're going to topple. I may risk comparing with a teaching within Christianity, a parable of Jesus of the house built on a rock and a house built on sand. If it's built on a rock, it will stand. If it's built on sand, it will collapse. I think this teaching is very, very similar to what the intent of this remembrance. If what you stand on is firm like a rock, you will stand and you could build. If it's shaky ground, good luck with that and everything. But move to higher, stronger ground and everything. I think it's a good Buddhist insight. These are the five remembrances. And I think they really fill an important lacuna, to use that big word, a gap within our understanding and gives us a better perspective to grasp the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Noble Paths and everything else. But the other thing that's important about the Five Remembrances is remembrance, to remember. It's similar or parallel to the word recollect. We talk about the Nembutsu, the recollection of the Buddha, the remembering of the Buddha. They're really synonymous with each other. So when you recollect or when you remember, you are bringing the Dharma to you. You're bringing the Buddha to you. When we say Namu Amida Butsu, I take refuge in the Buddha of infinite compassion and wisdom, it means I am remembering what this Buddha is teaching me. The purpose of the Dharma, the lives of all the Sangha, all is part of the heritage of the Dharma that I rely on and is given to me in the act of taking refuge. And so to remember is to Nembutsu and everything. So think about that and everything. And that's about as much as I've got to say right now. But take these words of the Buddha to heart, write them down on a little card and put them on a mirror because the Buddha wants you to remember them. That's why he called them remembrances. He wants you to say Nembutsu because that's why it's Nembutsu. It's recollect, recollect the Buddha, recollect the teachings, remember them. And then you will be on a foundation that is strong, that you can build on as a life of action to deal with the matter of old age, sickness, and death, and all the other things that we deal with. Keep the dynamism of the Dharma going in your life. Thank you. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu. A beautiful day.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Fred, for the talk, and thank you for introducing the Five Remembrances, and then basically reminding us about the essential teachings of the Buddha. Which, as you said, if we keep these teachings in our hearts and minds, constantly, then they can guide us to, actually, they can guide us to not only living a life with a solid foundation in the Dharma, but I think you were saying basically to appreciate the preciousness of our lives and the preciousness of all life, really. And so I think with that thought, with your emphasis on that, I'd like to also say Nam Myoho Butsu. Thank you very much. Nam Myoho Butsu. If Fred, excuse me, if Fred had not been subbing for Reverend Yoshi at West Covina, he'd probably be joining us right now with a live Q&A, and maybe you have some questions that you'd like to ask him or comments, but we'll have to do that some other time. But I think he gave us a lot to think about, so we can maybe keep those questions, and later, at a later time, we can bring them up, maybe when we return to the temple, because that's actually going to happen very, very shortly. So actually, before that happens, though, let me make a few announcements here. So next Sunday, May 30th, will be our last service for the month of May. And since it's the last Sunday of the month, we'll also have our coffee and Dharma at 9 o'clock before the service, and I hope you can join us for that. And before that, actually, on Wednesday, we'll actually resume our Wednesday night study class at 7 o'clock this coming Wednesday. The class has been kind of on a hiatus for the last month because we've had some special events that happened on Wednesday nights. But if you're interested in joining our Wednesday night study class, email the temple at info@hhbt-la.org. I can put it in the comments here. Email the temple, and then I'll send you the link to the study class if you're interested. Then 2 weeks from now, we'll have our June Shotsuki service on June 6th. So that June Shotsuki service on June 6th will be the last fully virtual service. Because after that, the following service, which is 3 weeks from now, Sunday, June 13th, will mark the reopening of the temple. At this point, it looks like the plan is to not fully reopen the temple, but to be on the safe side and to follow county guidelines, and the guidelines of Dr. Penny, our doctor, who is basically giving us really great advice on the reopening process. The plan is to limit attendance to 50% at that time, 50% of capacity, and it will be. Maybe some of you are wondering if we're going to continue streaming. We are going to continue streaming. So this will be what we call a hybrid service. Some people will be able to attend in person, and other people can attend the service online as usual at our Facebook page. So from June 13th on, we'll be holding hybrid services. But meanwhile, between now and these upcoming services. Please continue to stay safe, and I hope to see you all next Sunday. I'd like to close the service with our Gatha Ondok-san too. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So once again, thank you very much for your attendance today, and thank you, of course, for your continued support of Higashi Honganji Buddhist Temple. And hope you have a great week, and hope to see you next Sunday. And I'll be officiating the service next Sunday also. But yes, have a great week, and see you soon. Thank you very much.